everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Conversations from the Diaspora, a Building Africa's Future podcast. And as usual, I'm your host, your sister, and your friend, Nkiru. And today I'm joined by a special guest. His name is Leeda Nwafor and he has an international studies and political science background, as well as holding a master's in economics and in leadership and management. He's passionate about community service and political activism, as well as photography. So Leeda, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for coming on. I know it's been a long time coming, and I'm really excited about the topic that we're going to discuss today. So if you can just please say hello to everyone, if you have any words for us.
Hello everyone. Kiro, thank you for having me on here. I know we've been kind of trying to figure out the best time to get this together, but I'm glad that we finally were able to be together today and have this conversation. Hopefully that will keep progressing Africa and keep showcasing what Africa has and the potentials that we can harness when we come together and have all these great conversations and build the Africa that we want to see and the Africa that we want to hand over to our kids and the people who come in behind us. So Nkiri, thank you for keep pushing. Thank you for pushing Africa's agenda on the top front of your banner. I see what you're doing, and thank you for having me on here again. Thank you.
Thank you, Leeda. I really appreciate those words. And just like you rightly said, I think for many of us in the diaspora, we're always looking for ways to, as my platform suggests, building Africa's future. What are some ways that we can make our home countries better? Not just, as you said, not just for us, but for those who will come after us. Because, for our parents and previous generations, they tried their own way, but as we clearly see, there's a lot that still needs to be done. So just to kind of jump quickly into the topic at hand, I wanted to talk to you today about your time during National Youth Service in Nigeria. And, again, for many of us, we're always looking for ways that we can give back and maybe help others back home. So if you could just start by telling the viewers and the listeners a little bit about the history of youth service, if you, know that offhand. And why you felt it was necessary for you to, take on that project at the time that you did.
Well, yeah, the history of youth service is pretty much after the Nigerian Civil War. Some people call it Nigerian-Biafran War. The president felt like there was need to reintegrate Nigerians from different ethnic groups, and that's why it was set up to have people who would naturally not be in certain areas to go into those areas and serve the country for a year and just get a stipend, which, it's just an allowance to keep you, but pretty much it gives you a first opportunity to work and to serve the nation. That is pretty much my version of the reason why youth service was set up. So for those of you who don't know, the youth service is just like the Peace Corps, but the only difference is that with the Peace Corps, you get a little more incentive after you're done with the Peace Corps because you are now eligible to get a lot of federal jobs and you have a lot of incentives. But the youth service was really set up, like I said earlier, to integrate Nigerians because there's a lot of ethnic differences and tensions are very high. A group of people, the Igbo people, the people of the Eastern region, I won't say Igbo, but lost about 3 million people in this brutal war. So that was the reason why they needed to integrate the entire country and so they can get a kind of cohesion where everyone comes back and get integrated and continue to build the nation, Nigeria that we want. And why did I serve? You say why is it important that you? Okay, sorry, I didn't understand. Okay, that was the question. Well, for me, I had a different experience. For me, I came to the U.S. as a teenager, and so pretty much I really had no experience being an adult in Nigeria, right? So I went to college here. And so after working for a long amount of years in the US, I've always had the mindset, I did not come to the US to pretty much live in the US. I came to the US to kind of get an education and help with and go back and give back to my community, to the country in Nigeria to help, because we're in a nation building process and I want to be part of that process.
Right.
So for me, the reason I went back was to go and do NYSC, because I wanted to get into the system and understand how the system works. And youth services gives you that, lays you that foundation and gives you that soft landing to be able to interact with the entire Nigeria, as Nigeria, to see Nigeria as it is. Because when you go back and you're visiting every 1 year or 2 years, you go back, you're pretty much choosing who you interact with, you're choosing who you talk to, and most of the time you're just hanging out with family, right? But when you go to do NYSC, you're not hanging out with family no more. You're hanging out with people who you naturally probably not be able to even have the opportunity to interact with. So for me, I needed to do NYSC. That was my soft landing, because I actually moved back. So part of my move back strategy was to go into NYSC, then from there go back and live in Nigeria, which I did at that time.
Okay, so you mentioned that you decided to move back, like, or is that something that you are doing for the future, or is that something that you're just kind of gradually building towards? And what does that mean for you moving back?
Okay, so for me, I moved back. I was in Nigeria for about 4 years. Yeah, so I moved back in 2010, and I was there till 2014. So that's like 4 years moving back.
Mm-hmm.
So me moving back for me is, I've always wanted to be part of the nation building conversation in Nigeria. For me, Nigeria is a great country that has a lot of potentials, and we have great human capital, we have great natural resources, and we have great people. Nigerians, we are one of the people who ask the least of our government. We ask the least of the people that lead us. So we provide our own electricity ourselves. We build our own. We have become our own water supplier ourselves. Everyone has boreholes. Our schools, we build our schools ourselves. We even build our highways ourselves. We pretty much don't rely on the government to do so much for us. But where we have a problem is that we have not been able to get it right in our leadership, with our leadership. And I thought that that's someone that I can go in and help in terms of at least even creating awareness to Nigerians to understand what government should do and what to expect of government and the kind of leadership that we want. So that's the reason why I pretty much moved back, to help in this process and to also contribute my own quota, because I feel like nation building, everybody has to come and put something down, and then and when everybody comes together and we work with, everyone does plays their part. I feel like it's like like a drop of water will can make an ocean if everyone just starts with putting their own drop of water. So that's what I decided to do, and that's why I think that that's why I went back to Nigeria. I went back to Nigeria to kind of help assist, at least educate the people, help participate in nation building.
So Leeda, actually you mentioned a really good point, and I wanted to kind of, if you could address this a little bit better. So for youth service, is this something that everyone has to do? Like if you're a college graduate, or can anyone volunteer to do it? That's the first part of the question. The second part, being that you moved back, I know at that time people weren't maybe as receptive, maybe compared to the way they are now, to people traveling back home to like actually reinvest in back home. So what were some things that people were saying to you? Like, did they try to discourage you from, moving back and also from doing a youth service?
Yeah. What's your first? Let's go with your first question again.
Okay.
Let's do one question at a time, because I'm not taking notes. So let's
okay. Yes. Sure. So the first question is it like is the youth service a requirement? Like, is it like a 1 year requirement for people who have done like a college, have finished their undergraduate studies, or is it anyone who is above 18, or like what's the requirement?
Yeah, the requirement for doing NYSC, which is youth service, is that you must have completed your first degree under the age of 30. So if you are above 30 and that's when you get your first degree, your bachelor's degree, then you're automatically exempted from doing NYSC. But if you get your first degree under 30, then you're required by Nigerian government in order to hold any kind of position in the government. In order to be able to, you have to have employment, whatever, with the government. Even want to be an ambassador, want to be a minister, want to work for the government, want to serve the Nigerian government from a government capacity. You have to have done it NYSC as long as you graduated under the age of 30 for you with your first degree. So that's the requirement. Now, your second question for me was that did I have any kind of discouragement? Yes, I did have a lot of people discourage me. A lot of my friends, even in the US and family, they did not understand why I would leave Nigeria. I would leave the US to move back to do NYSC. In Nigeria, is always a way to do things. People do it, but they don't even come back and do it the way that I did it. They just, have a way of figuring somebody out who will be standing in their place and do the whole thing for them, and they maybe give them a little stipend. So people were kind of like, why are you wasting your time? Why are you doing this? You don't need to do this. There are ways around it. You can be making money while someone is doing it for you. But I wanted to do it because I wanted to get that experience. I wanted to understand Nigeria from an adult perspective. Because the Nigeria that I understood was the Nigeria where my parents kind of took me to school in a car. Nigeria that you pretty much depend on your parents for everything, and you don't really they shelter you from Nigeria happening to you, kind of thing. So for me, it was an experience that I needed to have, because if you want a part of a solution, you have to understand those problems. You have to know the people you're dealing with. You have to get a clear understanding of the challenges, and you have to get a clear understanding of the people's mindset, their psyche, what they're thinking, and how they process. And youth service was that platform that helped me understand Nigeria as Nigeria is, not Nigeria as it is said to be.
Right. Leeda, thank you for that answer. So I know, prior to now, when we had our initial conversation about this topic, you and I were discussing what we would look at or call the Nigerian problem, which could be understood as things not working properly, and all those different types of things that we kind of see in our home countries, not just Nigeria, but on the continent as a whole. So what were some of those challenges that you faced during your time as a youth corper? If you could share that.
I mean, when you leave the diaspora and you move to Nigeria, you're definitely going to face a whole lot of different challenges. If I start to tell you how things just work totally different, it's another world. In fact, it's not this. I'll be honest with you. If you are somebody who used to be in a place where things really work and you go to do NYSC, you're really, really going to be, you have to have a really tough skin. First of all, you stand in the line for hours. I don't know if that has changed now, but you have to. Things that are basic. Like I remember. So we have platoons, right? So I believe I was in platoon 9. It's been a minute. So I believe I was in platoon 9. Yeah. So in my platoon, you have to line up. You have to line up to get your ID card. You have to line up to sign it. You have to line up to send it back, and then they'll laminate it and sign and give it back to you. Then you have to line up to get your uniform, all kinds of stuff, your room space. All these lines are just like lines. So the whole day, you can spend the whole day in one line, just trying to get your ID card, just as simple as that. Or just to give them your bank account information, get a bank account. Just those basic things that you don't really have to stand in line for. But so my platoon, in our platoon, we kind of elected like officials who are also NYSC youth corpers like me, and so I see these lines are too long, and the NYSC official who is also in charge of my platoon is like frustrated, like it's just we spend the whole day. You can imagine like everyone is lining up, soldiers are pouring water on you, all kinds of stuff is going on, right? So I go to meet this platoon official. I say to him, listen, we don't need to have these long lines. How about you, since we've elected a few youth corpers who are going to help you in this platoon, why don't you just say, okay, from A, if your last name is A to B, you stay in this line. Then if one of the officials who you elected as a youth corper is in charge of this to have these people so they can collect the IDs, and just use just use the, and if your name is from C to B, whatever, you stay here, and you being of all your donors, you're supervising, making sure that everyone is doing the right thing. Those people in the lines, those officials who are also youth corporates are collecting and giving people the ID correctly and all that stuff. So you're just walking around and it's easy for you. And instead of spending the whole day just to collect IDs, we can do it by dividing the line. This is just like a simple solution. And I offered this advice to this guy, and he turned it down and said, "No, let's do it the way we're doing it." And then we spend the whole days, and then we spend the whole day like just collecting one thing, and then people are sweating, people are pushing each other. You know how Nigeria people feel like it's by call by force. People are pushing on each other. The lines are tight. People are sweating. The soldiers are pouring water on people just because you're trying to jump the line. You're trying to escape the line. A whole bunch of stuff is going on. And this guy is just like hounded with youth corporates, like he's sitting down and youth corporates just all over him, just trying to get this thing that could have just been done in an organized way, and it'll cut that line and it'll cut the whole drama. So these are things where things can be done very easily and very simply, but people choose not to. People just choose to do it the old way and the way that they've been doing it. And
why? Sorry to cut you off, but why is that? Like, why would someone want to it's like they deliberately try to frustrate people? Why is that? Like, what could be the cause of that?
Because that is the system that people are used to. So when people have never really seen things work in a way that it's organized and it's not stressful and it's not pulling everyone down, they cannot phantom it. So even the idea of you introducing it to them, they're not even that. That's what they are used to. People are very comfortable in their zones. They're very comfortable in going through their regular stress, the way they think that's how life should work. So that's the challenge. People have, people just have different way of dealing with things, and some people just are not receptive because they want to do it. That's what they know, and I'm sure probably he's prepared his mind for this stress that he's going through, and so he's going to be like, well, this is what it entails to be an NYSC official of a particular platoon, and it's just what he's used to. So the suggestion I suggested, and he may also look at like, what is this youth corps coming here to think that he just because in Nigeria, especially youth corps, they believe that youth corps don't know much because they believe that it's your first year after graduation, and so you might be also thinking, why does this youth corps feel like he has the guts to come and suggest to me what I should do? My authority, that kind of thing. So that could be another angle that he could have looked at it from, and maybe he didn't even listen to what I said. Maybe he just dismissed me. Who knows? But that's one of the challenges that you deal with when you're in Nigeria and doing NYSC.
Leeda, you actually brought up a good point. I know that's one of the things that we discussed earlier. Pretty much this kind of resistance. For those who I guess are coming from abroad, a kind of thing, they feel, okay, maybe this person is trying to rub shoulders with me, or they're trying to intimidate me or make me feel. Did you kind of come across that a lot, especially when you were offering some recommendations? Do you think they were looking at you as, you think that you've had this foreign education, so now you're trying to tell us what we need to do? Like, how often did you come across that kind of behavior?
Well, I came across it very, very often. I'll tell you the truth. Very, very often. I came across it very, very. I'm just even talking about just camp. If I'm talking the NYSC, okay, so you stay in camp for 3 weeks, right? After you stay in camp, is it 3 weeks or 2 weeks? I don't remember again. But you stay in camp, and after you stay in camp, you now move out of camp and you now go to your place of where you're posting, your primary assignment place. Then you now work. You're supposed to be there to work for like a year with that. Whatever government, whatever institution it is, whether it's a bank, whether it's a government office, that kind of thing. But yeah, so you actually deal with, so I dealt with a whole bunch of that. Even when I came in to register for NYSC, I felt there was a lot of, I felt a lot of tension from even the officials at NYSC office, they were I felt like they're kind of trying to make life a little bit difficult. I felt like they kind of felt like, I don't know what it was, but it just seemed to me like someone felt threatening that somebody else is coming, and there's a complex that people have, even when, you're not part of their problem and you're not part of it. They feel there's a complex that people have and they have a need to think that because you're from America that you feel like you're superior, and because you're from somewhere else you feel like you're superior. And that's not the way I move. I move in a way that I want all of us to be on the same level. I don't come out because I don't feel like I'm superior to anybody. I would take advice from whoever gives me. I believe in the superior arguments you win. So that's the way I operate. So even when I was doing my youth service, because I served in a place called UNDAF. So I served in Abuja, and it's Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA), and in that I served in the economic department, and UNDAF is a branch under that the economic department of the FCTA. So, and even at that, when I first got in there, I was posted to the research center, and because like everybody normally in Nigeria chooses where they want to serve, right? They try to serve in the high places and stuff. I did not care where I served. I just wanted to serve where I can work and where I can bring value to. So I did not try to influence. Other people try to influence to work in like the NNPCs, the central banks. I had no interest in everyone asking me in camp, where do you want to serve, this and that. I just said, wherever you guys post me, I will go. So other people use their connections. I did not try to even, use any kind of connections. I was like, okay. So yeah, just that's how I did for my own ones. I did not try to use any connections, to favor. I just wanted to, whoever did, I rolled the dice, whoever had the dice, So getting to the, what do you call it? Getting to where I was posted in the research center. When I got there, I said, hey, I'm here. They said, oh, okay. What did you study? I told them what I studied. I told them what I, did, blah, blah, blah. The guy said to me, well, do you know how to type? I said, yes, I know how to type. Of course I know how to type. He said, well, that's good because that's all we're going to need you for. So once he said that to me, I went back to the main admin office and I told him, listen, I did not leave the US to come here and, and so that I can be typing like a secretary and stuff. I came here to be working out too because I had not just finished college. I had finished college and I have a lot of work experience.
Mm-hmm.
I just went back to do NYC because I was wrongly informed that if you don't do NYC before you're 30, then you will no longer do it again. So that's a wrong information. You do NYC as long as you graduate under 30. So I went back and I talked to them. So they posted me to the economic department. And I went there again for them to post me. And when I got there, there was an angle of an angle of where there was UNDAF is where my educational background is a political science major and national studies. That's where I should be naturally posted.
Mm-hmm.
But the other guy said to me, well, your Igbo brother is in charge of I forgot him. It's been a long time. I don't remember his department. Either account or something.
Mm.
Don't call me wrong on this one, but at a different department, he said, well, we can post you here where your Igbo brother is actually the director, and that way you're not gonna have any kind of problems. But if we post you to do that place in UNDAF, the guy who was in charge from North, and he was like, I don't remember if it was Hausa or but he was from Northern and he was a Muslim. And this other guy who was in charge of that word when they posted me to was a Christian and he was Igbo. So the guys who were posted, you're a young guy, I want you to go to where you can thrive. So let's push you to the part with the Igbo guy. But that's not where you have skill sets for. But just for the politics of what we know, how FCDA works, how Nigeria works, let's push you to this guy. I said, no, I want to go to where I can serve. That's why I came back. So he said, okay, if you want to, okay, go ahead and go over there. So I went over there, and what they were telling me really happened. So when I got there, the director didn't even for one day take his time to say, every time I greet him, he'll just walk by me, and they're having meetings in Hausa language and not even inclusive of me, and the whole majority of people there all Hausa and they all speaking Hausa, So I did not have this certain experience before I got into. So, but the bottom line is that I got in there. The guy didn't even for once say, okay, what did you study or who are you kind of thing. He just pushed me along to whatever. So I had to now start to talk to the workers, like how do I get into, how do I this, how do I do that. I had to push myself into it. I was
Right.
not. They had no intention of using any of my skill sets. There was no intention of engaging me. I had to now apply myself. Like, hey, this is
Hmm.
what we're doing. So what we do in that office is we pretty much monitor and evaluate, and all the UN projects, World Bank, all the projects that come into Nigeria, they come into
Hmm.
our office. So what we do is we make sure that those projects are being carried out. We make sure that people are, going to do what they're doing, and at that point the point we had is we're trying to bring in all the general hospitals in Nigeria under one database, so that way whichever general, no, sorry, in Abuja, not Nigeria, under one
Okay.
database. So whatever hospital you go to, they have one database that they can pull your information. So that's what we were supervising that. But I also had to apply myself, in an attempt to get to work, because all they wanted to do was send you to the bank, go and get me this, or
Hmm.
send you go and get me coffee. That's what they use. That's what they use at the time. And this is not maybe not what's happening now. Maybe this is not what's happening. Maybe this was not what was happening in the entire NYSC when I was serving. But where I served and where people served, that was the majority of what they were trying to do. You see what I'm saying?
So,
But other
so Leader,
people they probably have different experience. So I'm not
okay.
giving the picture that that's entirely what it is for everybody.
Okay. Yeah, Lita, you actually brought up a lot of good points. So it looks like, at least from what one of the people they were telling you, that maybe you should go here where you have your fellow um, Igbo person as like the director. So it looks like you maybe were there issues with, like, I guess, ethnic kind of clashes or.
Yeah, I mean, there's always Nigeria has always had ethnic tension, right?
Hmm.
Nigeria has always had ethnic tensions. Nigeria has always had. There's always been, people dealing with you based on where you're from, your religion. Those are things that are very, very alive in Nigeria, in their politics, in their, opportunities.
Right.
Nigeria is still trying to be a nation that doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter your religion, doesn't matter your creed.
Hmm.
That's still a nation where people are judged, or people get favors, or people based on who you are and your last name and your
Right.
religion and your culture. People feel more comfortable dealing with people of same religion. And there's just a lot of stuff that is different here. That's not the same thing in the
Yeah.
US. So yeah.
So we just kind of talked about maybe your interactions with maybe the leaders and the administrators and everything. So how would you describe your interactions with fellow corpers? And also, if you could just talk about those who, I guess, who came from the diaspora, because prior to you telling me, I didn't realize that there was actually a significant amount of Nigerians from the diaspora that came back to do youth service. So if you can just talk about how you related with those, like, Nigerians who have been living there for forever, and then those who came from abroad like you did to do their service. How are those relationships?
Okay, so the relationships was very, very different, and I kind of had a lot of interactions with everybody. I didn't make it. I didn't want to make it obvious that I was not. I didn't go to school in Nigeria, because also there's some kind of preferential treatment or that was given to people who came from diaspora, by fellow youth corporates. So they look at you like you came out with the right. Yeah. So relating with youth corporates will kind of it's a little different. I mean, I personally didn't want to let people know that I came from somewhere else, like the US.
Hmm.
Because I kind of sense that, because they call us, they tag us as foreign students, right?
Hmm.
So, and there's a lot of preferential treatment that I think among the youth corporates that are given to people based on you went to school in the US or in that kind of thing. So I
Right.
would always just tell people I went to in a port and I studied Igbo or Christian religious knowledge. Something that I didn't think that was very popular, and so people will not be able to find you out, because you say you studied Igbo, a lot of people just don't go to the US to study Igbo in Nigeria. That
Right.
kind of thing. I would so just not to get just not to get a lot of attention, to myself, and just so that
Okay.
people can build you, on a personal level and not, based on where you're from or that type of thing. I just did that just now, I can blend in very well, So yeah, but
Right.
there was a lot of preferential. There's a lot of difference when you go to Nigerians. In my opinion, some Nigerians, they feel like they want to learn from somebody who went to school in the US, somebody who has. They just feel like, because I feel like there's a psyche in Nigeria where everything that is foreign is better than what is there. So everything that's foreign is better than what is from there, and I don't like to believe in that kind of, So if I got a shirt from the US, they'll believe that it's a better quality than a shirt that was made in Nigeria, or just as little as milk or cereal. It's just that concept that anything that's foreign is better than Nigerian made, and I don't agree with that. That's a bad psyche that we got from colonialism. That's one of the problems that we have from colonialism, and so I don't like to support that. But again, too, if you look at it from a different point of view too, you can also see that when I was there, people could have, even though I told them where I was from, even though I told them something different, just to kind of guys, because I saw the way they were. Because they say when they look at your badge, it says FRN, foreign student. You see what I'm saying? So I never really like to see my badge number, whatever it is, my call-up number, whatever it was, because it gave you up. That's just
how they give you that identifier.
Huh? Yeah, because everybody else went to school in Nigeria had their own. I don't know how it's organized, but there's groupings because we have to go to Abuja to apply for, NYSC. Then they go through the school system in Nigeria already. So it's two different places that we have to go on, or two different departments we have to go for our registration. So yeah, but you can still get found out easily that you're not from Nigeria, so you didn't go to school in Nigeria, because the kind of complaints that you're going to be making, and then when they look at you, because NYSC is also a reflection of the Nigerian school system in Nigeria. So, for example, many people had told me that I should go back to the US where I'm from, because somebody was really celebrating because when I was doing NYSC, they were paying us 19.8. At that time, it was a little bit. I think it was a little bit over $100 a month, and and so people were rejoicing. They were so happy about it, and me that I'm working, me that I worked already, and to be honest, I really never depended on my NYSC allowance because it was nothing for anybody. So I kind of felt kind of bad, and I was telling them that you should. I mean, this doesn't make sense that government should be paying, their youth corporate that amount of money, and it really cannot do nothing for you, especially in Abuja.
What do you think is a reasonable amount?
Huh?
What do you think is a reasonable amount?
I mean, what I think is a reasonable amount, I don't think that the government can afford it. To be honest, I don't know if they can afford it, or they'll have to make a sacrifice, or they'll have to be very creative to get in partnership with businesses in Nigeria, or businesses in Nigeria, to be able to support their youth corporate. So they don't have to corporate. You need a creative government, so you can give tax incentives to to let's say like the MTN that makes a lot of money in Nigeria, instead of them sponsoring Big Brother Nigeria and giving us millions or whatever. They can say, let us go in partnership with MTN, and MTN will now be giving people youth corporates a certain amount of money in different. So they can go to banks, but you have to be creative about it. You have to make an incentive. Maybe as part of tax breaks to these big companies, you have to bring them in so that youth corporates can be well funded and that kind of thing. So the money was ridiculous, in my opinion. And I was complaining that the government is not being not being creative in trying to figure out how to address that challenge of underpaying this is someone that has I know it's youth service, I know it's a service you're doing, but why do you want to put the burden on the person's parents? Why do you want to put
Yeah.
the burden on the family if you can figure out a way to, a little bit, $100 a month, you're not going to be able to pay rent. You're not going to be able to do basic, you're not even going to be able to buy groceries with $100 a month, to be honest. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I was happy. But people, instead of them to process it the way I did, which I didn't expect them to, they said to me that, well, this is the first one I've ever gotten from the Nigerian government, so you need to carry your car and go to America. We don't need you here. Go back to America, you guys have all the solutions over there. Why are you guys over here? What are you doing here with us? A lot of things that I was against, I was really against. I stood up a lot of things. So I one time, all of us were, I'm just deviating, I'm deviating now, but I'll just give you an example of how, and this is not to say that everybody in Nigeria thinks like this or thinks that way, but we were all in a group. These are all youth couples, females, males, we're all there in a group, and then some females said that she doesn't think that, men like women who are ambitious, and she doesn't see the need why women should be ambitious. That it's not a good thing for a woman to be ambitious and blah blah blah. And I heard her say that stuff. I heard her say it, and I thought to myself, what is she talking about? But I waited to see other people's response. Other people started to co-sign. Yeah, that she's right. That they don't understand why women should even be ambitious, why they should want to get to the moon. That woman that's ambitious will not be able to stay in the marriage and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I was like, guys, what are you guys talking about? What is wrong with the woman being ambitious? What's wrong with the woman wanting to achieve? What is wrong with that? I don't see nothing wrong with it. And at the time when I was 7, we had a minister who is currently she's currently the leader of the World Bank now. I mean, Konjo Wela. She, I think World Trade, whatever. She's currently the head of it right now. We had another lady called Desiani. She was Minister of Petroleum, and we had Aruna Ote. These are women who were very, very powerful and in the government, and they were doing their bits. I said to them that, look at people like Dora Kenya, look at all these people, they all have husbands and they are good wives and they're high achievers. Why are you not looking onto them as inspiration, as a role model? Why do you want to restrict women to curtail their ambition because of our society? I said our society should not promote, and I told them I was surprised that all of you guys are all university graduates and this is what you guys are saying. So these are the kind of changes that I kind of engineered when I had the opportunity to engineer the minds of people and to question, this kind of belief system. Not again, this is not to say that this is what Nigerians entirely believe. I'm not saying that, because Nigerians believe that we're not going to have ministers like Konjo Wela. We're not going to have women in power and position like we had as of the government when I was in Nigeria.